For a reason.
Oh, we're rolling now. Hey, welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. The person behind the camera that you can't see making me laugh is Hallie, and I won't say I won't say what she was doing. Uh, Welcome to everybody. Welcome to all the new subscribers. Good to have you here. I always say that I've got the smartest commenters on YouTube. And since you're here, I hope that you'll join that crowd. Whether you're on YouTube or whether you're on Patreon, it's good to have you. I want to do one today that's kind of responding to a question that I got. I think it was a question on a comment from yesterday. Yesterday I put up one about improving your life and lifestyle. We were down at the city market in Kansas City. And I was showing the city market and all the different things that people do to make a living, whether it's their main living or a side hustle or whatever. And of course, the ideal side hustle is one that you can turn into a living if you want to. You don't have to. My life is full of side hustles. I don't think. Well, I've had a main job. I've had a main business for the last ever since I left law enforcement many years ago. But they've all worked together. So I want to. Somebody asked, and this came from Mark. Mark, thanks for the question, and thanks for your letting me know what you do on this. And so I just rattled off a bunch. I just sat down and I wrote a bunch. I could probably come up with 50, but I think I've come up with 10 or 11 or something like that. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then Hallie just reminded me of another one. So I'll put 13. Maybe I'll title this The 13 Side Hustles That You Can Do, something like that. I've never done one of those list commercials, the top 5 things, the top 10 things. But maybe I'll do this. It's just kind of catchy, the 13 things. And I'm going to tell you these things, and these can be done by anyone well, most of them can, at any time with almost no investment. And then I'm going to tell you why most people won't. I'm going to tell you how lucrative they are, why everybody should, but why most people won't. And that's the people who won't will be asking me a year from now. I just can't think of anything. Okay, so I'm going to just get started on this. And most of these, not all of them, but most of these are going to be things that I have done. They'll all be either things that I've done or I know people who have and have been very successful at. Many of them I've done, and I'll let you know which they are. The first came from Mark, and this is not something that I've done, but he said that he was talking about, and I'm not going to get it exactly right. Go check the comments from yesterday's, and you'll get exactly what he said. But he started freeze drying. I guess I forget whether he said, because I had a lot of comments that were kind of the same, whether he grows all of his own, or he says somebody suggested you can still buy produce at the store and freeze dry it. Now that would take an investment. He said, I believe that they bought a freeze dryer. It was expensive to begin with, but it certainly paid off. And if you freeze dry, either sell freeze dried food, and I'm going to interject this. This brings up the first reason that people won't do things, because as soon as I say sell freeze dried food, there's people out there who will be saying, yeah, but you need a license, and you need a this, and you need a that, and that can't be done. Okay. If your first response is why something can't be done, you'll never do anything. And I could tell you so many stories about that. But whether he freeze dries and sells to other people, or whether he offers to freeze dries for other people, I forget. But that's a great side hustle. The next, junk removal and resell. We just had something here in where I live, the city where I live. They call bulk item pickup. We call it Big Trash Day. It is fun. A lot of people go out there and they look for all the stuff that people throw out. And a lot of times they repurpose this and use them in their own homes. It's just amazing what people will throw out. They toss out perfectly good working grills, patio sets, furniture, just all sorts of stuff. There are always, when these things happen, and most of the cities around here have this. I would imagine in your area they would too. and it's about once a year. Um, there are professional scrappers who come out here in big trailers, and they just go around and pick up all the, washers and dryers and scrap metal and things like that. And they've told me they make great money at it. Other people pick up a lot of stuff out there. My brother picks up a lot of stuff. He gets some beautiful Oriental rugs. He's got furniture. I think his whole patio is great furniture that people have just thrown out, and many other things. I mean, he gets qualities. He doesn't get junk because people throw out really good stuff. And other people do that, and then then they sell them. They either sell them on I don't know what, some local kind of Craigslist. People make good money doing that. So, and a lot of people, even if you're not a big trash day, people have stuff they want to get rid of. And half the time, if you deal with like a major trash pickup service, you got to pay extra to throw out big stuff. You put the word out that you'll pick up their stuff, many times for free. If you think that you can get rid of it and sell it, and many times you can, do so. Pick it up for free and stick it on Craigslist and sell it. You get just a drawer, so many stuff out here. If you can't make $500 a week doing that, I would be astounded. Lawn care. If you've got a rake and some bags right there this time of year, there are so many people out there, older people, women, single women, who just either don't want to, don't have time because they're working all the time to support their kids. If you can give them a fair price, go out there. You can rake their leaves, put them in bags, take them to the city dump, and you can get good money for doing that. You're getting outside, you get fresh air, you're getting exercise, and you're making money. I know a guy who started a lawn care business 5-6 years ago, something like that. Just started just with leaves, and now he's a full-blown lawn care business. He's got it year round, mowing, fertilizing, all the different kinds of things that you do in lawn care. And he has a successful business, and he started by raking people's leaves into bags and hauling them off. I know another guy around here who, during the last time that everybody was losing their corporate jobs, when was that, 2012 or I don't know, whenever it was. And he lost a good job, and he took his lawnmower out there, and this guy was a big corporate guy. And he started cutting people's lawns, $40-50 a shot. And all of a sudden, you get several in there, and he's making, a couple $100 a day. That was keeping his family going. And it just kept growing and growing and growing. It grew to the point to where he has never returned to the corporate world. He also has a lawn care business. And people will say, well, I can't do that. I can't walk very well. I'm old. I say, okay. Do you know anybody who can walk? Do you know anybody who can push a mower? I bet you can find somebody that will do it for some money. Now, you might be paying them a lot of the money up front. You know what you're going to be keeping? Money you didn't have to begin with. And as you build that business, you can build that business. Again, another reason that people aren't successful at this stuff is they just don't think big enough. There's an old saying that if you're not playing a big enough game, you'll screw up the one you're playing just to give yourself something to do. And that's the truth. If you don't have a big enough plan, you will concentrate on all your problems and woes, and you'll stay exactly where you are. A handyman. When we do, and I've talked before about how I started my lighting business. I started with Christmas lights, and then people asked, gosh, do you do any other kind of lighting? And I said, well, I'll do security and landscape lighting, because that doesn't take a permit. I'm not a licensed electrician. You don't have to be a licensed electrician in areas that don't require permitting for low voltage lighting. And so I got into that group. But so many people that you meet who, and you can find your own way into this. I'm just using me as an example. So many people have things while I'm out there say, do you happen to do this? Do you happen to do that? Sometimes it's just, I can't reach my light bulbs out. I got lights outside of the house. I don't have a ladder. Older people, again, single women who just don't want to do it. Not that they're incapable of doing it, but sometimes they're just, they're working all the time. They've got kids to take care of, and they'd rather pay somebody a few bucks to do things. And some places, if you can just replace these light bulbs, yeah, hey, you got a ladder, go out and help people. Or I got a hole in my fence. Do you know how to hammer a nail? Go out there and patch a fence. Our next door neighbors needed a whole fence replaced. It was just falling apart. Now my second son and I, we went out and replaced it for them. We didn't charge them anything. They bought the lumber. I told them what they needed, but they would have had to pay somebody several $1,000s to do that, and they would have. They just happened to have me as a next door neighbor, and we did it. But I have another customer now who needs a big fence replaced. Do you think it takes a lot of brains to replace a fence? It doesn't. Have you seen some of the crews out there replacing fences? Okay. Do you know how to hammer a nail? Do you have a hammer? Okay. You can buy a hammer if you don't for about $15, and you tell them, here's what you go out and look at the fence that needs to be taken down. You look at all the materials, you add it up, you tell them what the materials are going to cost, you add a little bit on that for the materials, because you're the one that's taken the time to go out there and figure everything out. How many sections do you need a fence, how many posts, how many rails, how many pickets, how many nails, what the gate hardware is going to be. You get an entire complete materials list. They can either order it themselves or for an additional money, because you shouldn't do things for free unless it's for a friend or a family. You're just helping somebody out. If you're doing it as a business, you charge for what you're doing. And so if they want you to handle it, then you charge for that too. And then you have the materials delivered to their house, and you go out there, you tear off all the old stuff, which, you charge for. You haul it, or you can arrange hauling for it. And you take care of all that for what you charge these people. And you put up a new fence. It is not difficult. You need a hammer, some nails, and a level and a tape measure. Okay, and the willingness to get out there and do it. We've got one of our customers. It's going to be a several $1,000s job. I don't have time to do it. I have a friend of mine who needs work. Guess who's going to get a several $1,000 job when they need it? Okay, but you can build that up. A handyman, if you can fix stuff, you don't in many cases need a license to do handyman work. And if you think that it scares you, well, just get the word out to people that know you. And the wider your net, the more people you know, the more people they know. And if you get the word out that, what, I can replace a lock set on a door, I can replace a garbage disposer, I can replace a dishwasher, I can replace this and that and the other thing. I can replace your faucets. I can replace your toilets. I can, all these kinds of things. These are not things that take, if you're just doing it for friends, and they pay you some money, you don't have to get all complicated about it. Okay. Estate sales to eBay. My mother used to, at one time, she owned a large bridal shop with my sister, and then she retired out of that, and then she needed something to do, and then she got into commodities trading, and she did well on that. And then she kind of retired out of that, still needed something to do. She started going around to estate sales, looking at stuff, buying stuff, and advertising them on, eBay, I guess, eBay. I've known a lot of people made a lot of money on eBay. But my mom did this when she was in her 80s. She loved going to estate sales. She'd buy stuff and advertise it. She got to be selling stuff all over the world. And she enjoyed it so much, she'd write little notes. One that I remember, she sent some kind of dragon pin to somebody in Germany. She just got the biggest kick out of, and they paid good money for it. Etsy is another thing. Do you do stuff yourself? I know a lot of people that crafts and arts kind of stuff, and they sell their stuff on Etsy. There is big money in that. Do you bake? Do you make cookies? Do you do anything like that? I know a girl, a woman, who makes the most beautiful cookies you have ever seen. Now, Kelly makes good cookies, but I have to admit that this woman makes cookies that are just out of this world. And you know what people will pay for that? I mean, what are those companies that those bakers that you might have them in your area? We have some around here called Everything Bunt Cakes or I forget what they're called. People pay an outrageous amount of money for that stuff. I won't pay it, but I'll eat it if they have it. And she started doing custom cookies, and she charges a bunch for them, and she sells the dickens out of them. Can you do that? You know, a lot of places don't require that you have a commercial kitchen. You can do this at home, and you can do it. She even mails them places. How about teaching and tutoring? You know how many people out there need tutors for their kids? If you happen to be good in a particular discipline, you can get work tutoring. Do you play an instrument? Do you play piano, or do you play guitar? There's a lot of people out there that will pay you to come teach them or help them to learn, get them started on something. If you know something that other people want to know, and you have the personality and the ability to teach, you have a marketable skill. Don't wait for somebody to come to your door, because they're not going to. You have to let the world know that you're available for this. One thing that I do, and I haven't done it, I simply haven't had time, but as I'm leaving my corporate job, I'll probably be getting more into this because I enjoy it. Through my company, Integrative Preparedness, and a lot of you don't realize that that's a business, not just the name of a YouTube channel, but it allows me to do all sorts of things when I feel like it. And a lot of times I don't feel like doing anything, right? Or I'm too busy. But when I do feel like doing it, or I have people come to me wanting things, I'm able to do it. I'm going to start more firearms training. Okay, I recently put through a group, brand new gun owners. Didn't know the first thing about guns. I was able to take them through, suggest, let them work with the guns that I have, see what fit right. They went out and they bought their own handguns. I brought them back as a group. We went through all of the safety stuff, the operating of the handgun, all the basic stuff that you need. And then I take them out individually to a range, and I bring them up to speed. Not only am I able to do the range stuff, but I take them through quite a personal journey of getting mentally ready for a defensive handgun situation. And that I'm going to say something about that in another video, and that is how to choose your teachers. Many people can show people how to operate a gun. Okay, and not that many people have been in gunfights, and too many of those are stepping past that. Here's how to operate the handgun, and here's the drills you can go through to get proficient with this. And then they step across and act like they can tell people how to act in a gunfight, and that's where they fall a little bit short. But I'll do that on another one. Booths at fairs. And Kelly just got by. Forget it. I shot one down at Mound City. She makes custom soaps. The last fair she went to, she just sold the dickens out of it. All these places have. People love to buy that stuff. If you have a good product, go out, rent a spot for $100, and you'll come back at the end of the weekend having made $1,000. Now, how many weekends would you like to do that? Okay, if half of the year, if you can find one a week for half of a year, and you do one every weekend, and you do $1,000 a week, $26,000. You don't want $26,000. Now you say, okay, let's bring it down. Well, I can't make $1,000 at each one. I'm sure you don't make $1,000 at each one. No, sometimes you make more. Sometimes you make less, a little bit less. Say it's only $500 a week. That's $13,000. That wouldn't help you out a little bit. It would, but there are bigger ones. You do a lot more than that. And there was, I will say this. There was a nurse at the hospital where I work who just hated her job. She was ready to get out of it. She was on a farm. She did all sorts of stuff. She raised her own alpacas. I forget what. She did everything. She would take orders for eggs from her chickens. She'd bring them up because she worked in a suburban hospital. People loved paying her for her eggs. and she developed a good business on that, and taking orders for other things. And then she started making soap, and because she had an into a kind of a ready-made market there, she started bringing in soaps and setting up a little, every time she came to work, people would be buying her soaps. She finally got, that seems like a small thing. She finally got to where she could quit her nursing job. She was an ICU nurse. They get paid very well. She was able to replace nurse money with this side hustle. And now she's her own boss, living on her farm, taking care of business, right? Errands for older or busy people. There are a lot of older and busy people out there. They would love someone to be able to, do whatever kind of errand, do a little grocery shopping. All these places now, these major chains that offer to do your grocery shopping for you. You could find some people, I think they'd rather pay you than Amazon or Walmart or whatever. Be that. I'll tell you what, t-shirts. I'll tell you a story about what I do. You know how many millions of dollars are made every year by people that are printing and selling t-shirts? Neither do I, but it's a bunch. When I owned my gym, I started off with other people printing my t-shirts, and then I saw, man, it's just not that hard, and it's really cutting into my profit. So I studied, what does it take to print t-shirts? And I won't go into the whole thing here. You can do your own research on this. But instead of buying a big t-shirt printing machine, I actually made my own out of a bunch of scrap lumber, a couple of hinges, and then I cured them, not with a big old fancy dryer, but with some heat lamps. And I designed all of my own designs, and then I would take it, and I had the screenshot at a professional place because I didn't want to get into that. But I started printing my own t-shirts, and I got to the point one time I was making more money selling t-shirts than I was in gym memberships. And I had no training in it. I didn't have a big deal. I did them all up in a back room upstairs of my gym. I do that at night. I have t-shirts. I just put on a t-shirt the other day that I printed over 35 years ago. No, not quite. 30 years ago. 30 years ago. I printed it 30 years ago. And it is still just as plain as can be. I buy t-shirts at other places. Within a couple of years of getting washed, they're all faded, it's falling off and everything. I didn't know what I was doing, and my stuff is still on there after 30 years. You can do it too. Make up some sayings. Make up whatever you want. Wear one of your t-shirts out. And people say, well, where'd you get that? I said, well, my company makes them, well, I'd like something like that. I said, well, what size do you take? And sell it to you for $15. And when you do them yourself, you can sell them for $15. These other places are charging $20, $25 a piece. You can do it cheaper, and you'll build your business. And there's something that I'm doing. The last one, cleaning. I mentioned Hallie just came in, and she mentioned that, and then I'm going to save the last one for last. Last one for last. That wouldn't make sense, wouldn't it? When Kelly's mom, my wife, Kelly's mom, when she got divorced, she was left with a bunch of kids to raise and a house to make payments on. She started cleaning. She started cleaning apartments and houses. She built a business that has sustained her for years and years and years and years. Her house is paid off. She has 3 cars. She goes everywhere she wants to. She makes great money. She has people working for her. And it has been quite a business. I know other people that got into the cleaning business. She's cleaning houses, apartments, small businesses. There is so much money in cleaning. If you'll get out there and do something like that, you can start it as a side hustle. It'll become a business, I promise you. And it pays good. Now, we've never done that, but we've never had to. And the last one, website graphic design. Now, here's something that goes in. I'm about to put up, and I've made quite a bit of money through the years designing websites for people. You didn't know that, did you? Yes, I have. How did I get to learn how to do that? Because I wanted a website years and years ago for one of my businesses, and I didn't want to pay somebody what they wanted to do it, and so I figured it out. It took me a while, but I figured it out. And I got it up there, and people liked it. And I have done websites for businesses and organizations throughout the years just when I felt like it. I never wanted to build it into a business because I enjoyed it. I just did it here and there when somebody came to me. But I'm about to put together a new website that has to do, and I'm not going to say what the name of it is. It has to do with preparedness. It's going to incorporate many, many things, and I think it will be something that you all will be interested in. And I'm sure that it will be successful. And that's not me bragging. It's just me saying I've done this before, and I know it will. I believe that it will be very good. Now, when we get down to the graphic design, I wanted to just slip this in too. If you know how to work a computer, and I'll guarantee you that you know more about computers than I do. When I got done with my first book, The Reversion, I wanted to design my own cover. I had talked to other people who'd written books, and they paid cover designers, and I read how important it is to get a professional cover designer to do your book because it makes all the difference. But I'm hard-headed. I wanted to do it myself because I thought it was fun too. Every word in that book I wrote, everything in there, and I edited along with Kelly. The design of the covers of all my books, I did. I like it, and that's why I did it. And they've done very well. But anyway, I got done with, I had to put together the file to upload for the printer to put in. And I couldn't figure out how to do it because I didn't think that I had the right program. I have a neighbor whose son was a big intelligence, and he's a computer engineer. The son was a computer engineer. He says, well, he can do it. So I paid him $100 and to design my website and put it in the proper file that I needed to upload to get the book printed. Well, he made some mistakes in it, and then he was off to college. And so I didn't know what to do, and I was happened to be talking about it, and this is probably 5 years ago, or 4 years ago, I don't know, when my son was 10 or 11 years old, and he said, Dad, my oldest son, Dad, you have that program on your computer. I said, I do. He says, yeah. He showed it to me. And I said, well, do you know how to do this? He says, yeah. And so with his help, he and I designed the cover for The Reversion. And after that, the revival, the renewal, and appeal to heaven, and we'll do the same thing on this. If you can do this, there's all sorts of people out there that need your help. And there's a lot of professionals charging a lot of money to do this kind of thing. And if you can do it for a reasonable amount, you'll get business, and you'll get business from that business, and the word will get around. So listen, there are so many. If I sat here for another half an hour, I'd think of another 15. But these are things that either I or people I know have done and been very successful at. So if you just don't have, if you're willing to do the work, you just don't have the ideas, I encourage you to consider some of these, because these are some you can get started on today. Get out there, and you will start bringing in money. And right now, money is very important. Don't listen to these people that say, oh, money's going to be worthless. Maybe someday money will be worthless, but that day is not today. And the more money you bring in right now, the more you're going to be able to build your preparedness and your future. But it's all going to fall apart. Don't you understand? It's all falling apart, and they're going to take us over, and we're all going to be slaves. Okay, well, just go curl up and die, for crying out loud. I get that kind of attitude ensures that you're going to be a slave. And I know that most of you are not like that. But anyway, the reason that most people won't do this is because they won't do it. Isn't that something? Because they will find an excuse that they can't. They'll keep saying, I just wish I could, make a little bit more money. If I could make $500 more a month, that would just be so great. Hey, I just told you a bunch here, you can be making a lot more than $500 a month. So I hope that helps. Don't fall prey to this. I can't, or whatever. Like the old saying goes, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. Because it all starts with your attitude, your determination, and you decide what it is you're going to do. So I'll leave it at that. You all have a great day. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And one of the greatest preparations is having multiple income streams to finance your preparedness and your future. So I hope you all have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.